So, we're going to dive into cultural norms. We're going to look at bikes versus cars. Look at things specifically here on campus. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But first, I want to actually mention the most important thing you can do to break down barriers here on campus, and that is to ride your bike. Seriously, that is the most important thing you can do. What happens is you make it safer for yourself. It's actually safer to ride a bike than it is to drive a car. You make it safer for other bikers because as the numbers grow, more cars have to look out for you, and more accommodations have to be made for bicycles. As you can see, and I mean it's pretty obvious, we don't have something called transportation equity, as in cars are up here, up here, up here, up here, first priority, bikes are here, walking somewhere around there as well. Buses, yeah, so cars are so we got this inequity here that we're kind of working with, and that's been causing a lot of our problems. So the single most important thing again, riding your bike. And if you want to do it correctly, Jeff Ross is here to give you some reminders, teach you some rules of the road, and share some other gems on bicycling. Jeff Morris, he is a former ambassador to the Wisconsin Bike Fed, lives here in Point with his family, and is a student at UWSP. So without further ado, Jeff Ross.
Thank you, Pastor. So, just out of curiosity, how many people here commute to campus every day on their bike? How many people stop once it gets cold? A lot of people. All right. So, riding bike, I've seen a lot of people do things that are really good. I've seen some people do things that are really bad. When you ride your bike, one of the biggest things that you want to do is be predictable. When you are predictable, people know what you're going to do, and that reduces the amount of crashes you might end up being a part of or witnessing or whatnot. Basically, when someone can tell what you're doing, you reduce the risk of that crash. You do that by following laws. In the city of Stevens Point, one of the biggest things that I see happening is people riding on sidewalks. Is that illegal? No. Is it safe? Not as safe as riding on the street. And people wonder about that, and that's because you have a lot of blind spots, driveways, bushes, parking lots, those sorts of things, and those end up causing issues there as you're going much faster than people would expect anyone on the sidewalk going. You're also entering and exiting streets at every corner, and that causes issues. Studies show that by riding on the sidewalk, you are being unsafe. It is not illegal, however. Riding the wrong way. Some people call those people salmon, because they're riding upstream. Riding the wrong way is also another thing that is unpredictable. And by being unpredictable, crashes happen. And it's been shown that people are rarely hit from behind, more so head on. And you can't get hit when you're riding with traffic from head on. A lot of people are very curious, can I get a DUI when I'm riding my bicycle? No. DUI, OWI, whatever they call it nowadays, you can't get one while riding a bicycle because it is not a motorized vehicle. However, it is also unsafe. And police officers can stop you and give you a ticket for public intoxication. So while you can't get that OWI, you can still get something. Probably a fine, probably no points off your license, but it's still not something you want. Things keep firing in the back as I'm saying this, and then I keep losing it. Anybody have any big questions about what's legal, what's not legal?
Just a comment. I've been back in Point 1 year now, and I can't believe how many bikers I see who ride out of light at night. I've nearly hit several of them out of nowhere. They're across the street, no light. Other cities I've been, it's not that way.
Thank you. That's what was firing in the back. What does the state law require? State law requires that you have a white headlight and a red rear reflector. We definitely suggest that you ride with a headlight and a tail light, but state law requires just a white headlight and a rear reflector. That means that if you have a mag light at home, little tiny thing, or any sort of flashlight, and you duct tape it to your handlebars, that's still considered a white headlight, and then almost all bikes will come with a red reflector. Cops are out there now ticketing people without those things at night. I saw it just the other day over at the Y. They will ticket you if you're not conforming to the law. Trying to think here. Big thing around town, make sure you're locking your bikes. Make sure that you're putting the lock through that center portion of the bicycle, the frame. I watched somebody walk up to a bike rack, put their bike in, pull a really heavy chain around his waist, lock it to the bike rack, and then flip it over the seat, and walked away. I stopped him, I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Lock the bike." I said, "Yeah, but I could undo that in 2 seconds. All you did was put it over the seat. I guess it's more for lifts," and walked away. Okay. So, make sure that you're locking your bike as secure as you can, and that you don't have to go over to Campus Surplus and try and find it. Okay, yes.
With the bike locking thing, is it good to like lock it through the wheel too, if you can get it around that?
If you can get it with the wheel, great. Is it necessary in point?
I mean, I've seen
Depends.
some wheels being taken off and the frame left there.
And that can happen, especially when you got the quick release. Yeah, if you can get it through, great. If you can't, some people put on 2 locks. They put one through the frame and then they lock the wheel to the frame. It's your call how much you want to lock your bike. But realistically, your bike could cost anywhere from $50 to a couple thousand. And some people I've heard say, "But the bike lock is so expensive. It's $20. You just spent $500. What would you rather spend money on? A new one or a new bike or a good bike lock?"
In regards to locks, like which ones do you suggest? Because I feel like the ones that are just like the little codes and the thin wire, like I can just take a bolt cutter and just boop.
Well, and that's a really good question. And yeah, locks are rated anywhere from you need a grinder to get through it, or scissors can get through it.
So would a $20 one be where it could easily, someone was like, "Yeah, that's a nice bike," and then they just.
I've tried to cut some bike locks. It's not necessarily that easy, but sometimes, if it's about as big around as a pencil, you're going to be able to go through it. If it's as big around as a magic marker, it's going to be much more difficult. Some people use U-locks. U-locks are the U that have the bracket on it. It depends on how much money you want to spend, and it depends on what's going to work the easiest on the bike racks.
Oh, no, I was going to just comment. Yeah, I definitely would suggest looking at the rating, or I love looking at Amazon for reviews. They'll tell you, you can look at different customer reviews and they'll tell you, "Hey, this is awesome product," or "This is terrible." Not a huge fan of the U-locks. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to comment. I almost blew somebody out who ran a stop sign. I've ran stop signs too, it happens. But it's wise to sometimes abide by that octagon.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Bicycles are required to follow all laws of motor vehicles. They are using the roadways, so you have the same rights and responsibilities as a car does. That means that you have the same rights and responsibilities as a car does. You are supposed to stop at every stop sign. New law that came into place recently that affects motorcycles and bicycles is that if you're at a stop light and it's an actuated light, not a timed light, which means that you can sit there all day and that light never is going to change. After you wait 45 seconds, you can treat it as a stop sign. So that means that if there's still traffic coming, you're still able to be hit. But if there's a break in traffic and you've waited that 45 seconds, there's not a car sitting on the other side going to change that light over, you can move through that intersection.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different groups.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
This public service announcement is brought to you by SPTV. Hi, my name is Julia Flaherty. I've been living with juvenile diabetes for more than half of my life. I realized fairly early on in my diagnosis that this was an opportunity for me to take responsibility to draw awareness about a disease that, according to JDRF.org, affects almost 3 million Americans today. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. That's why I'm asking you to tweet me at Miss Trenchie on Twitter to tell me how you are going to help the world be diabetes-free. This disease is not curable. It is treatable. But for some people, that doesn't make it any less tolerable. Whether you have juvenile diabetes, know someone that does, or are just inspired to learn more about it, the month of November gives you a great opportunity to start. Don't push disease to invisibility. Set it free. This public service announcement is not affiliated with JDRF.org. This has been an SPTV production. Together, we strive to make media with UWSP students.
About that though, about being safe. I
Yes.
was reading this about hand signals,
Yes.
and people don't know what those are. Like, I mean, drivers, like bicyclists, yes, a lot of them do, but drivers, like, don't at all.
And that's a huge thing right now, is that drivers are unaware of a lot of things that bicyclists are going to do. Many people are unaware of what sharrows are. Does anybody not know what a sharrow here is? Quite a few hands. Sharrows is when you see it's painted on the roadway. It's a bicycle with two chevrons or arrows above it. And everybody here knows what a bike lane is, right? Well, sometimes a traffic lane is not wide enough to incorporate a bike lane. So they put in a sharrow, and that basically says that both things can be here, like any other road in the United States, because bicycles are allowed on any road in the country. Except for limited access things like freeways. But anyway, those sharrows, basically you're supposed to ride through the middle of that arrow or to the right of the arrow. And basically it tells drivers, bikes are going to be here, this is where they should ride. And it tells bicyclists, hey, this is where we want you to ride, this is where you're most visible. Going into where you should be, there's such a thing as lane positioning. And this is something that a lot of drivers don't know. Is where should the bicycle be? State law requires that you ride as far right as practicable, which basically means that if you're riding along and it's Wisconsin, there's a huge snowdrift, they don't expect you to try and blow through the snowdrift on your bicycle. You can move over to the left as far as you need to be able to get around that. Now, does that mean that you should cut off the guy in the car right behind you? No, but you should signal and move over. There's this thing called taking the lane, which is this new idea, and that basically means that you move over and you become a vehicle in traffic just as if a car was. Times when you would want to do this is when there is a big obstruction. When you feel unsafe. If there's a car that's going to be coming up from behind you, a car that's coming in from in front of you, and you feel like they're going to squeeze you off the road, you can move over so that that car behind you doesn't feel that they have the room to squeeze in between. So basically, anytime that you feel that you need to move over and take the lane, you're able to do so. but be a courteous bicyclist and move back over to let the 6 cars that are now behind you through. There's this thing called shoaling that's a big button lately. That means that you're riding along, red light up ahead, and you're going along, there's 6 cars in front of you, but you go past all 6 of them to stop at that red light. Then you take off, and then there's now 6 cars that have to pass you again. And because it's point and there's another stoplight, 3 blocks down, you do it again. So you're constantly passing each other back and forth. That's not safe, it's not courteous. Act as if you were a car and stop in your place in line. One thing that I tend to have trouble with is I'm riding my bike, I get to an intersection, and I stop. Car comes up from the right. They were there before I got to the intersection, and the guy's, the nicest drivers can be, he's sitting there going like this. And I usually go like this. Because, like I said before, bikes are considered vehicles and they have all the same rights and responsibilities. That includes right-of-way. If you were in a car and that guy has right-of-way, same thing as if you're in a bicycle and that guy has right-of-way. And that way, there isn't somebody that waves somebody through 6 times. That guy goes, oh, people just wave me through, and then the next guy doesn't wave him through, and then there's a crash. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to make sure people are aware of that. Right-of-way is right-of-way. Any other things that you think I should touch on?
How do we learn more about the bike fed?
Bike fed, great question. Anybody know what the bike fed is? A lot of no's. Wisconsin Bike Fed is a nonprofit bicycle advocacy group. They have an office in Madison, they have an office in Milwaukee. 25% of what they do is advocacy. They're on Capitol Hill saying, we need to keep complete streets in the budget. We need to, make sure that there's funding for the different bicycle paths and whatnot. 75% of what they do is education. I had a job this summer where I went around to events, groups, and talked to people with a PowerPoint, a little bit more sturdy of an outline than I have tonight. I'm coming from dinner and lots of stuff, so I'm a little frazzled. I apologize for that. But basically, they're out there trying to make sure that drivers and bicyclists know what their rights and responsibilities are and that they do follow them. And they're trying to reduce crashes that are happening in Wisconsin. They're also there for people that are pedestrians and walking and trying to make sure that people are aware of where, what the rules and regulations are on that. A lot of people that say walking, that's pretty simple. But you have things like crosswalks where somebody stops and the next car keeps going. That's very illegal. When do you need to stop for somebody in a crosswalk? As soon as they break the plane of that curb, cars need to stop for anybody in a crosswalk. One thing I was surprised at, just because there isn't a crosswalk painted someplace, that's considered an unmarked crosswalk. Still illegal. But if you go to wisconsinbikefed.org, you can find out tons of things that are going on in the state about bicycling. You can become a member. They put out a magazine every other month. It's a really great organization. I encourage everyone to check them out.
I have questions. If you're crossing a crosswalk on a bike and a car hits you, is this their fault for you, or is it your fault that you're riding your bike across the crosswalk?
Well, I think it kind of depends. If you're on your bike and you're riding it, I think you should act as if you were a vehicle, and therefore the crosswalk wouldn't necessarily adhere to you. If you're going to use a crosswalk on a bicycle, I think you should hop off and you should walk across as if you were a pedestrian. And then in that case, you are a pedestrian, you are not a vehicle, and that driver that hits you in a crosswalk would be liable. However, you still got hit, you're still hurt, that's still not a good situation.
So I talked to Trevor a little bit last week. They passed the unified, bike plan, so
Right.
they're not going to be totally winging it in town. And he's on the committee, which I'm excited because he knows how to get shit done. But you go to school here. What are they doing on campus? Because it's not really a super bike.
No, it's not.
All over the place. A little bit here, a little bit there, and nothing.
For being Stevens Point, the super environmental school that everybody keeps thinking of this place as, they really haven't done a lot for bicycles. There's a gentleman named Dave Barbier. who is been trying to get a few things passed. Do you know what exactly his job is?
Yeah.
It's back there. What is his title?
He's the Director of Office of Sustainability.
Okay. One thing, I know he's been trying to do bicycle stuff, but budget costs and all sorts of different things has been difficult from what I understand. I think it would be great if we had covered bicycle parking. I think it'd be great if we had, a few different things. But they're working on it. They're trying to get it. Big thing that he did recently was he submitted an application to the League of American Bicyclists to make UWSP a bicycle-friendly university. Whether that's going to go through or not, I'm not sure, but it has been submitted. So they are doing some things, but there's a long way to go.
But on that, what are some of the things that like this group could do to like help? You are?
Yeah.
I just set it up for you.
To that point, the VFU is not going to go through. There's no way. I looked at the application. We're going to fall short big time.
However,
it's a learning opportunity.
They'll send it back to us and say, this is why it didn't go through.
Exactly.
Send us a checklist, and then it's one more thing to present to say, this is why we need these things.
Right. Totally. So thanks, Jeff, everybody.
Are you interested in pursuing a career in animals or just looking for a way to help preserve wildlife? Then the Wildlife Society might be just for you. As one of the largest organizations at UWSP, you will have your chance to help in projects that study and preserve animals, network with professionals, and meet like-minded people. Join us Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and join the Wildlife Society today.
These guys care about sports. The talk continues after the cameras stop rolling. Watch Final Take only right here on SPTV for anything pointers, anything sports.
So I'm going to ask a few questions. And if you answer a question or if you ask your own question, you're going to get a piece of candy, either dark chocolate or sesame chew. And these are from the co-op here in town. These are pretty awesome. So you got to either answer or ask a question, okay? So first question, why aren't bikes a priority on campus?
Probably because people ride them on the sidewalk, at least like especially on campus, and then the pedestrians get mad at them, and then the motorcyclists get mad at them, and then
It's all part of it.
Yeah, and then
chocolate or sesame.
And then we have our bike racks, the sesame. We have our bike racks like right in the middle of campus, so it makes you ride on the sidewalk, so you can park your bike there if you're like parked in that queue or.
So you're talking about like the core campus. So if you have bike racks at the core, you can't get there. Well, you could walk them, but it depends on the distance, right?
Yeah.
So, but it kind of lends itself to biking all over the entire sidewalk infrastructure. Yeah.
Phones, but I think as like cyclists, cyclists, we also need to be like, hey, on your left or on your right, and tell them, because people don't do that, and then they get startled, and it's just a whole shit show.
Yeah, to that point though, you really shouldn't ride on the sidewalk at all.
Well, like if it's on campus though, like if it's inevitable, like you have to go in there, and it's not going to change.
Exactly, that drives to an infrastructure problem that we have to work towards, which is, do we have some sort of bicycle infrastructure that works for bicycles and pedestrians? Obviously, there's certain sidewalks that are too narrow. It's not going to work. Do we have the money for that right now? No. So there's a lot of variables you got to look at. But I totally agree with you. And if you pass them on the sidewalk, even if it's a wide sidewalk, you say, on your left, they're going to be like, blah, and then bam. You have no idea if they're going to react the way you want them to. Sesame or chocolate?
Well, that's why you have to chocolate, please. But that's why.
Stolen.
But that's why you have to, like, you can't say it like 2 seconds before you're there. Like, you actually, like, I've learned that you should say it probably, like, you know how they say that you, like 50 feet with your hand signals? Well, you should probably do the same with your voice, like.
Or you could just carry around a stereo.
One more.
It's not an answer. This is just an FYI for that bike rental program we have. So it's from the SGA, but if you guys want to contact Alex Thomas, who's the director of the committee for the Environmental Sustainability Issues Committee, And I think you get a helmet and lights with that rental, or you get it for the whole semester too. So message him if you still want it.
Yeah, no, I was going to give an answer. And this is one thing that I'm originally from Oakland, California, Bay Area, 7.2 million people, so it's a big area. And one thing that my dad taught me about, because we used to have the key system, and the key system was an electric train system that was a super efficient, way ahead of its day, and many cities had things of this nature at one point. Well, the big car companies came in, and they did whatever they could to shut other forms of transportation down, because it was their goal to have everybody in America owning a car. And so that's one thing that I believe has also affected bikes as well.
Chocolate,
chocolate, that's cool.
Good answer. All right, so we're going to keep on going here. So with rising tuition, fees, cost of living, students, I mean, obviously bicycles are way better than having a car. Even if you have a job that's, say, 2-3 miles off campus, if you could figure that out by bicycle, yeah, totally makes sense. And we're going to get into the numbers too a little bit. Another question, why don't we have bike lanes all over campus? Every single street.
Because it's owned by the city.
Oh, he raised his hand. Cool.
Sorry.
But Stevens Point is horrible at city planning. I don't want to check on it. We are terrible. The university, the city, everybody in Stevens Point is guilty of this. We have very bad city planning. We built a parking lot in the southwest side of campus. Dinky little parking lot, I will say. Excellent drainage. Proud of them for that. They finally got that covered. But they spent a couple $1,000s buying off a bunch of property to build a parking lot. I mean, they get all this area to build a stupid parking lot where they could build one parking structure, get it all settled. But no, we have a history of horrible, horrible, horrible city planning, university planning, and that is something that needs to be addressed here at Stevens Point. So, as a natural resources planning major, it drives me nuts because we literally have a major and people dedicated, paid professionals here on campus that could be used in that, but they're not, and their talents and their intelligence is not used, and it's squandered because we like to make decisions quickly and terribly.
Oh boy. I will speak to a couple of those points in a little bit, some of the numbers too, which will be interesting. Another one.
Then there's the elephant in the room, the sociological thing. There was a time, like say, I'm from Chicago, don't get mad. And we had fantastic public transportation. And then there was this concept called racism. And a lot of white people wanted to get away from, my family did it, wanted to get away from black people. And then at the same time, you had the Eisenhower administration building roads. And then at the same time, you had the GI thing where they had GI housing. So it's like this country, and they were probably whores of the fossil industry. They decided that they were going to build all these roads and have all these single-family houses all over the country, and it could be done. There was a time in Chicago, my mother told me once, she would like miss a bus, and there would be one, like she could like see it. And Los Angeles had a good one, and in fact they got in trouble. I mean, they didn't do anything about it. They kind of slapped them and say no, no, no. But you know, there used to be a good public transportation system in this country.
What Lenore's speaking about is basically everything.
Chocolate.
Around the bill numbers? Yeah.
Finish your thing. You were saying something.
What Lenore's talking about is essentially all of our development past World War II. So post World War II is this mentality of the American dream. It's been driven down our throats. We're seeing the negative consequences of that through a lot of our daily lives. She's talking about that. We just decided to grow. We can always grow outward. That's not true. It's not sustainable.